Recently, I've decided to revisit a game that is near and dear to my heart, a game that sadly had its official servers shut down over 12 years ago at this point. But thanks to the hard work, dedication, and patience of some of its biggest fans, you've been able to play on fan-made servers for quite some time now. I am of course talking about Metal Gear Online 2. If you've watched my channel for a while, you should know just how much I love this game. So you may be asking yourself, if this fan-made server has been around for a while, why am I choosing to revisit the game now in 2024? And is it worth checking out for someone like you who might have missed out on it the first time around? Well, to answer the first question, the current state of online multiplayer shooters honestly just isn't cutting it. Sure, things like Fortnite can be fun, and I enjoyed my brief time with it when the Metal Gear Solid skins released, but it just doesn't have that staying power for me personally. I've been missing the days past in which battle passes hadn't made their way into every single game. The days before skill-based matchmaking made every single lobby you play in a complete sweat fest against your will. But mostly, I miss the days when games were made for the players to have fun and not so much for the revenue they could generate. All of this has led me into giving Metal Gear Online 2 another try. But there's also another reason why I've decided to revisit this special game at this particular time. Recently, the talented team behind Save MGO has been hard at work at finding a way to re-implement survival mode back into the game. For those who do not know, survival is one of MGO2's most competitive modes. Think of it as a ranked playlist. It pits two teams of 6 players each against one another in a random assortment of map and mode combinations. Every single team mode is present in the rotation for survival, and since the map mode combos are randomized, you never really know what you're gonna get next. The main objective of survival is to earn reward points that you can then spend in the reward shop. Things such as new camo patterns, voice packs, and other cosmetics can be earned through reward points. Each consecutive win in survival will net you more and more reward points, with 5 wins in a row paying out the most points. If you win a match, you get matched up against another team that may or may not have won their first game as well. Whenever you lose, you get sent back to the team formation lobby and need to re-enter your team before getting matched up again. The Save MGO team put together an amazing trailer for Survival's return, and that's all I needed to hype me up and convince me to log back in. I messaged some of my old MGO friends, and we've been hitting the game pretty hard for the past few weeks. Now, I consider myself a very slightly above average player at best, especially as I've gotten older and my reflexes just aren't what they used to be. Even with that in mind, survival has been an absolute blast. Since there's no real skill-based matchmaking, you'll face teams consisting of casual players, average skilled players, the hardcore players, and of course, the best of the best. Some games we crushed the other team. Other games were absolute nail-biters coming down to the very last second, and other matches we got absolutely destroyed. It's pretty funny, but both weeks that Survival has been active, the very first match for us both weeks were against probably the best team in the world, to the max. If you ever want to see just how good some of these guys are at MGO2, go check out Solid007. His channel will be linked in the description box below. Despite crushing us, they were all super nice and wished us good luck with our future matches. That has been the case for pretty much every single match we've had so far. Everyone has been super nice despite the MGO2 community being stigmatized as extremely toxic. I think for the most part, everyone is just happy to be playing Survival again. As it stands, Survival takes place one day a week on Saturday at 2 different times, with a second day currently being discussed. You should be seeing the current schedule on screen now. This is how Survival worked back in the day as well, with 3 days of Survival a week all at the same time every single week. I think this is a genius way to get everyone playing at the same time. Now, I won't lie, the population for Survival and the game in general isn't very high. I think Survival peaked out at around 230 players both weeks, which isn't very many players at all. Despite that, we really didn't get too many repeat matches across the 8 hours we've spent playing the last 2 weekends. So far, the Survival experience has been great overall. It's been a nice change of pace compared to the other multiplayer offerings out there at the moment. I also have to give huge kudos to the Save MGO team for making changes and adjustments to Survival so quickly after the first session. As you can see, they adjusted quite a few things based off of community feedback, and all of them were implemented and ready to go by the time the second Survival session happened the following weekend. That is faster than some developers that work at AAA companies managed to get things done. I can safely say I plan plan to continue playing survival on Saturdays when I have the chance to. Now, all of that being said, let's go back to answering the other question I posed at the very beginning of the video. Is survival and MGO2 in general worth playing in 2024 as a new player, or even as a returning player who hasn't played since official servers went down? Well, firstly, you need to ask yourself if you even have the equipment you need to play the game. You need either a PS3 with custom firmware installed and a copy of Metal Gear Solid 4 that has the data for MGO2, or a PC with a CPU powerful enough to handle the emulation of the game. These are the only two methods available right now. If you want more information on the installation process for either of these methods, make sure to check out savemgo.com. It will be linked for you in the description box below. Once you've confirmed you have the hardware you need, there is one more question you need to ask yourself. And that is, are you okay with being absolutely destroyed over and over again until you get better at the game? And that is because MGO2 is notoriously difficult to get good at. And by the way, did you know that saying get good actually originated from MGO2 back in the day? Everyone always credits the Souls games for it, but it actually started in our humble community. Anyway, as I was saying, MGO2 has an incredibly steep learning curve. Just learning how to shoot properly will take some time. Then there's the movement in between your shots, learning how CQC works, learning how to counter CQC, how to CQC slam to knife stun and how to escape that, when to use auto aim lock on and when not to, what breaks auto aim when someone is using it against you, the way that the skills interact with one another and the various weapons in the game, all of the different maps and the angles you can use in each of them, how all of the different modes work and their objectives, the list goes on and on. If all of that didn't scare you away, this game might actually be for you. Seeing the progression from when you first start playing and are shooting like this, to then being able to shoot like this, and eventually being able to shoot like this against other players is so incredibly satisfying. MGO2 makes you feel invincible once you really get the character movement, aiming, and shooting down. And that's really only half of the equation, as modes like Team Sneak require you to familiarize yourself with the CQC mechanics and knifing as well. This is a game meant for those who are willing to put in the hours required to become intimately familiar with its mechanics. At this point, most of the people still playing the game know how it works and play it at a high level. If you're willing to accept being instantly headshot by most players before you're even able to raise your weapon, and if you're also willing to take the time to figure the game out, I promise it will be worth it when you first pop off and get that first kill streak going. The adrenaline rush it provides is very hard to reproduce in most games nowadays. And despite the community being so small, it is fiercely loyal to the game. There are players that have not stopped playing since the fan server first went up several years ago. And as unlikely as it seems, there are also new people signing up all the time. There is even a lobby that is dedicated to new players, and it locks anyone over a certain level out. I've seen it pretty populated as of late, so if you're hesitant to jump in because you're afraid of only playing against sweats, hopefully that eases your concerns a bit. If you're a fan of Metal Gear that has heard of MGO2 but never played it, or even if you're not the biggest Metal Gear fan and you've stumbled upon this video looking for a fun multiplayer game to get into, MGO2 definitely still holds up even after all of these years. It's charming and quirky and hard to master. Like every game, it has its issues, but its unique gameplay and approach to a competitive third-person shooter more than make up for its shortcomings. There's a reason that so many people across the world were devastated when the servers were shut down way back in 2012. There is just nothing quite like it to this day. And despite Metal Gear Online 3 existing and still having its servers up, it just doesn't compare to what MGO2 offers. MGO3 is fun in its own way, and I enjoyed it when it first released, but I don't ever really get the itch to play it like I do with Metal Gear Online 2. The crazy thing is, the population is higher on Save MGO than it is on MGO3, if you can believe it. Who knows, maybe Konami is planning to release an updated version of MGO1 with Delta, since the very first MGO came packaged with Metal Gear Solid 3 Subsistence. Or maybe an entirely new MGO is in the works. Only time will tell, but for now I am more than happy that Save MGO exists and that I am able to play this amazing game whenever I feel like it. it. Hopefully I see some of you out there on the battlefield. Once again, if you want to get involved, make sure to check out SaveMGO.com and the SaveMGO Discord to get started. If you like this video, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and check out some of my other videos, like this one where I go over all of the new information we've gotten about Delta recently. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.